If you've been feeling like your AI buddy has been acting a bit different lately, maybe quicker, sharper, and just a tad smarter, you're definitely not alone. OpenAI has been up to something sneaky, rolling out some major changes. They didn't make a big announcement, but don't worry, I've got all the details you need right here. So let's dive in and talk about what's really going on. Last week, I started noticing something was off, or maybe on, with ChatGPT. It felt quicker, more on point, and overall just better. Turns out, I wasn't the only one who noticed. Social media was buzzing with people saying the same thing, claiming ChatGPT seemed to have gotten an upgrade. But here's what's interesting. OpenAI didn't say a word. It was all very hush-hush until they finally dropped a little bombshell on us. So what's the scoop? OpenAI casually mentioned on X that they'd actually slipped in a new version of their GPT 4.0 model into ChatGPT. That's right. They just updated the model we've all been using without making a big deal about it. Their announcement was pretty simple. They were like, oh, by the way, there's a new GPT 4.0 model in ChatGPT since last week. Hope you're enjoying it. That's it. No fancy press release. No big unveiling. Just, a tweet. Classic OpenAI, right?
Now, you're probably wondering, what's up with this new model? What's so special about it? Well, let me break it down for you. The updated version, which they're calling ChatGPT 4.0 latest, is basically a fine-tuned and optimized version of the previous model. But here's where it gets interesting. We don't have all the details because OpenAI didn't spill all the beans. Of course, that led to a lot of speculation. Some folks think this might be part of a bigger strategy, like maybe OpenAI is gearing up to release differently sized models, similar to what Google and Anthropic are doing. There's even been some buzz about a possible GPT 4.0 AR, and some people think this update might be a step in that direction. But honestly, I'm not totally convinced. I mean, if this were a brand new model, they probably would have hyped it up way more, right? So what can this new model do? From what I've seen, and from what others have reported, it's performing better on tasks that require complex reasoning and creativity. For instance, if you've been asking ChatGPT to help with coding or solve tricky problems, you might have noticed it's just a bit sharper now. It's also faster, which is always a nice bonus. But, and this is a big but, it's not perfect. There are still some weird quirks. For example, in one test, the model was asked to stack a book, 9 eggs, a laptop, a bottle, and a nail in a stable manner. The solution it offered? Putting 9 eggs on top of a bottle. I mean, come on, who does that? And then when it was asked how many R's are in the word strawberry, it confidently came back with 2, which, as we all know, is definitely wrong. So yeah, there are still some bugs to work out. But overall, this update is definitely a step in the right direction. Speaking of strawberry, let's talk about something that's been generating a lot of buzz lately, Project Strawberry. The idea behind Project Strawberry is pretty cool. It could be a new post-training method aimed at boosting the model's reasoning skills. Some people are even saying that the improvements we're seeing in ChatGPT might be early signs of this mysterious project in action. One of the coolest things about the new ChatGPT 4.0 latest model is how it handles multi-step reasoning. Basically, this means the AI isn't just jumping to conclusions, but it's actually thinking things through step by step before giving you an answer. This is huge because it leads to more accurate and thoughtful responses, which, let's be honest, is something we all want, right? And it's not just ordinary folks like us who are impressed. The new model has already made some serious waves in the AI community, especially in something called the LM-size leaderboard. Now, if you're not familiar with it, the LMSI's leaderboard is like the Olympics for AI models. They pit different models against each other in all sorts of tasks. And guess what? The new ChatGPT 4.0 latest model just crushed it. It scored a whopping 1,314 points, which is the highest score ever recorded on that leaderboard. This means it's outperforming some of the biggest names in the game like Google, Anthropic, and Meta. Pretty impressive, right? So now you're thinking, how can you get your hands on this new model? Well, it's super easy. OpenAI has already swapped out the old GPT 4.0 with the new version in both the ChatGPT website and app. All you have to do is fire up ChatGPT and you're good to go. If you're on the free plan, you might hit some message limits, but for those of you who are on the Plus plan, you can really push the model to its limits and see what it can do. But don't worry, if you're not quite ready to shell out the $20 a month for the Plus plan, you can still get a good feel for the new model before you hit those limits. And if you do run out of messages, you can switch over to GPT 4.0 Mini. It's not quite the same, but it's still pretty powerful. Also, one more interesting thing, OpenAI has been pretty clever with how they're testing these updates. They've been sneaking experimental models into places like the LMC's chatbot arena under random names so people don't even realize they're testing new tech. The ChatGPT 4.0 latest model, for example, was tested under the name Anonymous Chatbot, and it got over 11,000 votes from users. That's a lot of people unknowingly helping out with the testing, which just goes to show how smart OpenAI's approach really is. So, what's next? Well, if this update is anything to go by, we can expect OpenAI to keep refining and improving ChatGPT. They're clearly focused on making it better at reasoning, creativity, and all those tasks that require a bit more brainpower. And who knows, maybe we'll see even more of Project Strawberry in the future. Alright, now I also want to talk about something else that's new in the AI world, but it didn't really get the attention it deserves. TII, Technology Innovation Institute in Abu Dhabi, just released a model called Falcon Mamba 7B, and it's something you should definitely check out. TII is known for working on cutting-edge technologies like AI, quantum computing, and robotics, and now they've dropped this new model. Unlike many other models, Falcon Mamba 7B is open source and available on Hugging Face, which is pretty cool if you ask me. But what really sets it apart is the new architecture it's using. A lot of us are familiar with transformer models, which have been dominating the AI scene for a while now. But Falcon Mamba 7B does something different. It uses a new kind of architecture called Mamba State Space Language Model, or SSLM for short. This new approach is quickly becoming a solid alternative to those traditional transformer models. Now, why is this important? Well, transformers are great, but they have some issues, especially when it comes to handling longer pieces of text. See, transformers use an attention mechanism that looks at every word in a text and compares it to every other word to understand the context. But as the text gets longer, this process demands more and more computing power and memory. If you don't have the resources to keep up, the model slows down and struggles with longer texts. This is where SSLM comes in. Unlike transformers, SSLM doesn't just rely on comparing words to each other. Instead, it continuously updates a state as it processes the text. This means it can handle much longer sequences of text without needing a ton of extra memory or computing power. Falcon Mamba 7B uses this SSLM architecture, which was first developed by researchers at Carnegie Mellon and Princeton universities.
What's cool about this model is that it can dynamically adjust its parameters based on the input, so it knows when to focus on certain parts of the text and when to ignore others. Pretty smart, right? So how does Falcon Mamba 7B stack up against the big players like Meta's Llama 3 18B and Mistral 7B? TII ran some tests, and the results are pretty impressive. In terms of how much text the model can handle, Falcon Mamba 7B can fit larger sequences than the transformer models using just a single 24GB A10 GPU. This means it can theoretically handle infinite context length if you process the text token by token or in chunks. And again, Falcon Mamba 7B came out on top. It beat Mistral 7B's sliding window attention architecture by generating all tokens at a constant speed without any increase in memory usage. That's a big deal for anyone working with large-scale AI tasks because it means the model is both fast and efficient. Even when we look at standard industry benchmarks, Falcon Mamba 7B holds its own. In tests like ARC, Truthful QA, and GSM-8K, it outperformed or matched the top transformer models. Sure, there were a couple of benchmarks like MLU and HSWAG where it didn't quite take the lead, but it was still right up there with the best of them.
But here's the thing, this is just the beginning for Falcon Mamba 7B. TII has big plans to keep optimizing the model and expanding its capabilities. They're not just stopping at SSLM, they're also pushing the limits of transformer models to keep driving innovation in AI. So if you're into AI or just curious about what the future holds, keep an eye on Falcon 7B. It's already making a name for itself, and with TII's continued efforts, it's only going to get better. Plus, with over 45 million downloads of their Falcon models, TII is proving that they're a major player in the AI world. If you found this interesting, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more AI insights. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.